Hello, Charles. Hello, Marty.
Welcome to our New York Giants preservation meeting for today, May 23rd, 2024. The program we were supposed to have the last 2 weeks were unfortunately canceled by both speakers for personal reasons. So tonight we're going to have Marty Lurie become our Dusty Rhodes. He's going to be our pinch hitter tonight.
Yeah, good.
Marty was on a few weeks last month, and he's going to do his like the Sergeant Pepper reprise. He's going to come back and answer any more questions. And because it's Willie Mays month, Marty will start when I cue him. First, he'll talk about his relationship with Willie Mays, and then he will answer any and all questions regarding the present day Giants. So, want to start off by, I don't like to wish anybody a happy Memorial Day, but honor those soldiers who perished. This is a great book by one of our members, Karen Marco, about Eddie Grant. You might want to purchase that for Memorial Day. So, other things, somebody asked, I'm planning on going to the game tomorrow night. I'm hoping to get called in to substitute teach and then just go over to the stadium to avoid the horrific traffic that awaits everybody this weekend. If anybody's up in Cooperstown next week, I am speaking at the Cooperstown Symposium on Wednesday. I was asked to talk about the book I wrote, Baseball from 3,000 Miles, and most of the conversation will include the association I have with you guys and ladies in this group. And for those in San Francisco, miraculously, they asked me to come out there to speak at the Gotham Club June 3rd. June 3rd. And Marty's going to be emceeing that. I am going to go to the Yankee 3-game series. Hopefully we could do well there. I don't know, but I am pumped to go out there and spend some time in San Francisco. So a couple of other things. The next meeting after this will be June 6th with Steve Glassman. He'll be doing another Mays thing since we missed a couple. Willie Mays and all the positions he played. June 12th, we'll have Kevin Baker, the New York game, which has gotten, crazy great reviews. June 19th, we have Art Black. Art Black has written a series of books on Rickwood Field, and he said he might be able to do the Zoom from outside of the stadium. We shall see about that. That will wrap up everything as far as the news on our news front. Again, I can't thank Marty. I sent out that cancellation about the Zoom, and Marty was kind enough to text me and say if I needed somebody to fill in, he wouldn't mind doing it. So we owe a ton of gratitude to Marty Lurie. So Marty will start off talking about Willie Mays, and then open forum. All you guys could talk Giant questions and anything else you want to ask Marty. Let's all give it up for Marty Lurie. Marty, the floor is yours.
Marty the party. Marty the one-man party. That's what Bochy calls me. I'm very happy to be here and to see everybody. And Gary, and you do a great job. And when I heard that someone canceled, I said, absolutely, I'm happy to come on. Rickwood Field, I'm interested in talking to, you say Art Baker?
Art Black.
Art Black. Oh, Art
Yes.
Baker was a TV host, right?
Marty, Art wrote 3 books. One is about how the field originated. One is more like the Willie Mays era, and there's one about the Oakland A's playing there.
Yeah.
And on the cover are some of the A's who became stars. So he's got what he calls a trilogy of books. Art Black. I will get you the information.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to the game.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah, the Giants are sending me there, which is nice. I'm glad to do it. So I'm going Monday, and I'll see the minor league game on Tuesday. at Rickwood Field. And then, of course, Thursday we have the Cardinals. It's interesting that the Cardinals are the team to play the Giants, because when you go back through the history of segregation in baseball, the Cardinals were real trouble in 1947 when Jackie Robinson, of course, was on the Dodgers, and the Cardinals threatened to strike. And the one Ford Frick didn't do much in his life, but as president of the National League, he wrote the letter to Sam Breeden, who was the owner of the Cardinals, said, "Look, if you guys strike, I'm throwing you out of baseball. I don't care what it does." And that nullified the idea that the Cardinals would strike. And so the Cardinals are the opposition for the June 20th game with the Giants at Rickwood. So I thought that was interesting. But of course, the Cardinals own the Southwest. Their radio network was huge in those days. And if you were a baseball fan, you generally heard the Cardinal game. So I could see that's a reason as well. But Willie, unfortunately, of course, can't go. But, for my relationship with him, and I've said this to you guys before, I've done a lot of things in the world in my life. And my relationship and friendship with him maybe is the crowning blow for me, the crowning achievement for me, really. For the kid from Ebbets Field, my story, to be there with Willie Mays and be his interviewer. But the thing is, Willie is a showman. He really is. And he loved to play baseball. And that youth and that exuberance that he had as a kid. Look, he played at Rickwood Field like when he was 15 or 16 years old. And, there's a big deal going on now with integrating the statistics from the Negro Leagues into the regular baseball reference and all that. And they should do that. People forget how hard the game was played in the Negro Leagues in those days. And Rickwood Field brings that back to us. The players who played in the Negro Leagues, this was not Bingo Long and his All-Stars. They played a serious game. And they didn't necessarily have a schedule of 162 or 154, but for whatever box scores have been found, those games were serious games. They played to win, and Willie was part of that. So in my getting to know Willie, I understood his time in the Negro Leagues and playing for the Black Barons. He was playing real baseball. And, the game of baseball is interesting. They say, well, in the 30s and 40s, the Negro Leagues had teams that would come here and go here, and the leagues were this and that. But, in regular Major League Baseball at that time, there were a lot of bad teams too. Not every game was the New York Yankees against the Cleveland Indians, or the Giants against the Pittsburgh Pirates or the Cubs in those days. There were a lot of bad teams. So I'm very happy that they're going to take these statistics from the Negro Leagues and put them right up there with Major League Baseball. Because the Negro League stats, when you think about it, Josh Gibson, we all know, wow, what a great player Josh Gibson was. But baseball is something that we measure with numbers. So when you go back now and you can get the box scores that Gibson played in and realize that for 12 of 13 years, his OPS was over 1,000. It puts him in a different perspective than just saying, boy, Josh Gibson, he was a great hitter, wasn't he? So it gives some context to the players. And it brings me back to Willie, because Willie was a teenager playing for the Barons in those days. And they played really hard baseball. When he came up to the Giants, he wasn't a rookie in the sense of, boy, look at the bright lights. He had played in every conceivable kind of tough game there was when he first got up to the big leagues. And believe it or not, this weekend, I like to do one historical note each show with Bruce Jenkins on the weekend. I think this is the weekend where Willie goes 0 for 5 in his first game, because I think he's brought up right around this date Gary, in 1951. Is when he makes his debut. And I think that's his first 0 for 5. And then he finally hits the home run off Spahn and 1 for 25. And Leo says, I don't care what you do. You're going to be my center fielder, for the rest of the season. So, but getting to know Willie, I got to know how what a great player he was before he got to the Giants. And that's the point that I want to make. In understanding the way the Negro Leagues played, Willie was a high school student. He was in the 12th grade, and he was traveling to Philadelphia or different parts of Memphis, or different parts of the South. And the teachers told him, look, we'll let you go, but when you come back, you're going to have to write an essay about the city you just went to. And he had to do that. He was a very serious young man, very serious. And when he got signed by Eddie Montague's dad, it was right after a senior prom. And I don't think he got to go to the senior prom. And he was such a student. He wanted to do that. He wanted to graduate. He was a very serious young man and player. And getting to know him, it's his smarts of baseball. That's the one thing that I take away from knowing Willie. It's knowing which base to throw to, how to go first to third. We had a play the other day where there was a pickoff at first, and the ball went wild down the right field line, and the guy went first to third. My God. And I remember the story Willie told me. He says, yeah, I did that against Art Mahaffey, the Phillies. He threw it down the first base line, and I scored on that. That's how Willie would score. These guys go first to third, and they think it's a big deal. Willie could score in a play like that. So going to Rickwood Field for me is really going to be a treat, knowing that he played center field there in this little park in the toughest games you could imagine. These were not exhibition games. So for me, I want to share that about Willie, how tough he was as a young man learning the game of baseball. When they knocked him down, they knocked him down. And he always tells the story getting knocked down, and he was crying, and Piper Davis said, get up, get to first base, and steal second and third. You'll show him. And that's the way he learned how to play baseball. So I'll share that with you guys.
Thank you, Marty. For those who don't know, Marty is the weekend pregame host of Giants baseball on KNBR. He's not employed by the Giants, so he speaks his mind. And we're going to open up for questions. I do have one thing to ask, and if Marty can't answer, Norm Coleman can. Marty, have you visited the Mays Pop-Up Museum?
Yes. I was there on my last trip up there. Yeah.
Can you tell the audience a little bit about that?
Yeah, it's sort of maybe about 3,000 square feet, and there's some seats in the middle, and there's a little stage in the middle too for some presentations. Then there are about 6 or 7 display cases with a glove, with a jersey, and different things from his career. Truthfully, I was slightly disappointed. I had this idea. It's not a museum; it's a pop-up exhibit. And I went in there and saw it, and it's beautiful. It's clean, and you walk around and you look at the display cases. But for some reason, I thought there'd be a lot more. Now, when I went in there, they didn't have the video going, and they do have extensive video going all the time when it's open. So it gives it a little bit more of an atmosphere of action and Willie and the excitement that he brought to the game. So for me, going, it's a little more of a sterile experience looking at the display cases. And as I've said many times, I when you look at enough baseballs, they sort of blend together after a while. And I had that feeling a little bit. But it's wonderful that they did this, because there's so many people who come to the Giant games who have no idea who Willie Mays is. And it's like the Josh Gibson story. So when you get to go to something like this and you get to see the glove, the uniform, and then the video of him running and catching and hitting and speaking, it makes it come alive. So I think they did a nice job with it. They did.
Thank you, Marty. Okay, I'm going to open up with the first question, and then
Gary, you'll be there. You'll see it when you come up.
I'm looking forward to it. Yeah. Marty, the Giants right now are basically playing almost 4 rookies daily. Ramos, Luciano, Matos. I'll throw in Bailey there. I don't see this as a great team, so in my mind, I want them playing every day. I don't need to see these guys who are on the injured list come back and replace them, because you want to see what you got. They've been touted, whether that whether they've been rushed or whatever. Want to know what you're thinking about this.
Well, it's the second year for a lot of them. So again, this is like I just said, it's the bright lights are not blinding them right now. They've come up ready to play and they've come up with a lot of confidence. They've been in two spring training camps at least with the Giants. And I like what I see. Luciano is a little raw at short. He is. And if he was hitting 340, I'd say forget about it and you just let him play short. It's tough to leave him in there all the time. And you can't really take him out in the ninth inning and bring Ahmed in because Ahmed will be back shortly. That's going to be interesting to see what they do with him. But I think the bat plays. And if it's an occasional error here, I don't like the ninth inning errors that we had the other night and today, but I like what I see with him. Ramos, I say let him play. I mean, I've seen enough of Slater to tell you the truth over the next. Oh, he's got the concussion. He's got a lot going on. They tried to move him, but their price was so high that they couldn't get a deal for him. That's what I'm told. I like the way Ramos plays. I think his bat is quick, and I think he gives you something. The big thing is Matos. And that to me is what's happened here over the last few days. He makes contact, which is huge. He does not strike out and he puts the ball in play. And he did it against the Dodgers. He killed the Rockies and he did it in this series too. He got the hustle double last night. Look, Reynolds kicks the ball and he's on second and Lamont Wade is just hitting the heck out of the ball. So this whole combination of these guys, and Bailey to me looks a little slow still from the concussion. I wouldn't push him too hard. I think I'm glad they got Casali, but Conforto will come back, and I would bring Conforto off the bench like they do with Flores. And if you get into a tough situation with a righty and you want to sit Matos, well, Matos is your center fielder. Basically, there's no Lee. If you want to sit Ramos down, because you got a tough righty and you want to play Conforto, I have no problem with that. But I would not sit Ramos down and just give the job back to Conforto. There's something that's in the air. There's some excitement in the air. There's some speed in the air. And there's some genuineness that they bring to this lineup. And the other guy, see, it's all coming together at the right time for them because they're killing teams that are under 500. And 10 of the 15 teams in the league are under 500. This is not a great league. This is why the Giants are going to be a playoff team. I've said it in spring training. I'll say it now. They're one of the better teams in the league. So for the Giants to use these guys now, I think it's huge. I think it's coming at the right time, but the guy is Chapman. I can't tell you enough. And look, Brooks Robinson, I've got the number 5 jersey hanging up in my room somewhere. He was the best best third baseman I ever saw. This guy is right there. That ball is hit to third. You can write it in the book. His throw is right to the chest of the first baseman. The play's got to come in and get the ball. He gets it. Sidearm throw across the body every time he makes a play. Now he's hitting. And he's not getting just a single. He's hitting extra base hits. He knocked the ball out last night, that 3-run homer. I didn't think he got it, part of it, and it was gone. He did the same thing today. He brought the team back in 2 days in a row. Chapman has been solid. Soler is starting to hit a little bit. He still chases. But for me, if you give Soler a pitch in the strike zone, he can hurt you because and that power is coming. If you can take Soler and Conforto and put them together, bring Flores off the bench when you need him, leave Wade in there every single day, I like it. Wisely is here instead of Fitzgerald. Fitzgerald was just too jumpy, and his hands were jumpy. He got picked off in a terrible situation, and they wanted to get rid of him a couple of weeks ago, but Melvin talked Farhan out of it, so they kept him for the 2 weeks, and then they brought Wisely up. They like Wisely. And he got a big hit today, and he played a little bit of short. I'm not thrilled with him as a shortstop, but they really don't have that backup. So when Ahmed comes back, they need him. But they have a little bit of a roster crunch here. When Slater comes back, he's going on a rehab. I'll guarantee you that. They are not activating him right away he'll be on a 20-day rehab, before they need him. So Casale has been terrific. He's the calmest guy I've ever met in my life. He just is. You watch Bart today. Bart boxes every ball possible. He butchers it. Off his glove. It's in the dirt. This Casale just sits back there and catches, and the ERA when he catches is very good. The bullpen, everybody's all over Jackson now. I still like Jackson. I like him. The guy I really like, and I may have mentioned this to you guys before in spring training when we kept talking about trading Bart with the scouts, they said, yeah, we like Bart, but the guy we want is Rodriguez. That's the guy they wanted, this Randy Rodriguez. Randy Rodriguez can pitch. He is a young Doval, and they used him today, and they're going to use him more. The bullpen is solid. Mason Black, I think, is one of those guys. He throws and the ball rises or something. He's got a funny delivery. I don't see him staying. I think they need another pitcher, to tell you the truth. I think that's going to be an issue in that 5 spot. They're going to have to come up with something. But Snell, no more excuses. Now he had a blister last night. Every time this guy does something, he's got something to say. I don't want to hear it anymore. Just go out there and pitch. If what it is, it's 100 pitches and 5 1/3, I got it. But just go out and do it and leave with a lead. Now, last night he left with 1 run, but he was all over the place. But his arm is good. He's going to be good. This guy is good. And they brought Jelly in, and Jelly just didn't have it. And he just got nervous. He didn't want to walk in a run to Reynolds. He said, I'm not going to walk him in, so I'll throw it right down the middle, and Reynolds will knock 4 in, which he did. But then after that, he settled in, and the bullpen has been terrific, really. Been really good. So that's a little bit of my synopsis of what's going on.
Marty, thanks for your brutal honesty. We'll now go to the head of the Kurt Casale fan club, Steve Rothschild.
That was a great analysis. You changed my tune a little bit. Gary and I always talk. Matos actually reminds me of Felipe Alou. Very similar stance.
Okay. He makes contact. The guy makes contact.
He does.
And he makes contact, and they're not striking out all the time.
No, he's going to get better.
Like crazy. And this guy makes contact. He puts the ball in play, and come on, 2 out in the 9th inning, gets a hit, and he took off. And I'm sick of Reynolds. I'm glad they got rid of Reynolds. And Reynolds just boots the ball in left field, and Matos is in second. And why they don't walk Wade, I realize it's a winning run, but Wade will kill you. They don't have a lefty because the bullpen of the Pirates was famished, as we like to say. They had nothing. And they didn't walk Wade, and Wade made him pay. And but Matos made that inning, and he did it again today.
That's why they're the Pirates. You said one thing about Willie being knocked down, got up, knocked down, got up. There's a great story, which you probably know. I don't know if the others do. It was either 1955 or 56. Newcomb is pitching. First pitch, he knocks Mays down, ball 1. Second pitch, he knocks Mays down, ball 2. Mays turns to the umpire and says, go tell Nuke something. Umpire goes out to the mound. Umpire comes back. Willie, Nuke said he's sorry. The next pitch, Mays places into the upper deck. Comes to home plate, says to the umpire, tell Nuke I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, Campy used to throw dirt in Willie's shoe. That's what Campy used to do when Willie would come up, and then Nuke would knock him down. And Willie would say, hey, doesn't Nuke know that I'm black? And Campy would say, Nuke doesn't care. And they throw more dirt on Willie. That's what they used to do to Willie.
Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Mr. Norm Coleman.
Hey, Marty. Marty, first I just want to tell you, when I get in my car on the weekend and I turn on the radio and I hear your voice, the first thing I do is smile because I'm so excited to hear someone talk about baseball who knows what he's talking about. And so I just want to thank you for that. And the same thing happened today. When you spoke your first word today, I don't know if you saw me, but I was smiling because I was so happy that you're here. So thank you very much, Marty. I have, I think, 2 questions for you. One is, the Padres traded for Luis Ariz. I'm wondering if the Giants had any interest in getting him and made any efforts to get him, or is it something that they didn't care about?
No, it's not an area they care about. They got second baseman coming out of their ears. They got Estrada, who's, you know, he's a solid player. So I don't think second, and he can back up at short. Ariz is a sub-defensive player at second, and he really is a first baseman or a DH, and that they got Wade there. So I love Ariz. I mean, he got 4 hits again today for the Padres, and I think when you look at the list I saw today, that Sarah Lang's on Twitter is wonderful. It was someone in the first 17 games for a franchise who had 4 more hits 3 times. And I think they went back to Carl Reynolds in 1925, you know, names like that. That's how good Ariz is. But no, I don't think the Giants had any interest in him. I don't.
Okay. Thank you. My second question has to do with Mason Black. Mason Black comes from Pennsylvania, outside of Scranton. Everyone talks about his connection with the Phillies. He loved the Phillies and all of that, but no one talks about him growing up 16.7 miles away from Factoryville, Pennsylvania. And Factoryville, Pennsylvania is the hometown of Christy Mathewson, possibly the greatest pitcher in baseball history and the greatest pitcher in Giants history. And I don't understand why no one is making that connection.
Well, probably no one knows who Christy Mathewson is the problem. That's why we here. Well, I'll tell that to Mason Black. I like it. I can use it, and I'll use it on the show. That's good for me. And let's teach Mason Black the fadeaway. If he had the fadeaway, he wouldn't be in trouble, because without it, he's got to get a pitch that he can put past people. He was okay in spring training. He was very good in AAA. He's the nicest kid in the world. As I say, if you watch his delivery, he kind of gets under the ball a little bit. And, you know, he's got to put that ball on the outside part of the plate. If not, they do put it in play on him so far. So we'll see. We'll see. I like Keaton Wynn better, but Keaton Wynn's arm is not 100% now. They need another pitcher, I'm telling you, because Cobb is not coming back so fast. You know, he's trying to get the cortisone shot in the right spot. You know, that's where he's at. And Robbie Ray is in Arizona and throwing bullpens. But Black's spot's going to come up again. We got 3 here with the Mets, no off day. Then we've got the Phillies coming in. So Mason Black is going to be in there and on Tuesday, I guess, right? Tuesday, I think if the days are right, Tuesday or Wednesday. Probably against the Phillies again.
All right, thank you, Marty.
Thank you, Norm. Mr. Weinberg, you're up.
Marty, thanks for coming on. You're not a fill-in. You're one of the A team. So
I'm happy to be here. I love it. I'm looking forward to seeing Gary. Come on, I'll be up in San Francisco. We're going to do a show together. It's going to be fun.
Thank you, Marty.
My first recollection of Willie was on July 10th, 1954. Willie was 23. I was 8 at the Polo Grounds. I'm not going to get into that story. I've repeated it 100 times. I'm sick of hearing it myself, but I enjoy it. But what I remember about, one of the million things I remember about Willie is when he would get knocked down, he'd get right up and he start digging in with that back foot. He didn't give the pitcher a stank eye. He didn't start parading around. He would dig in. He would get right back up and dig in with that back foot.
That's how he learned to play. That's how he learned to play.
And you made a point of what I did. I violated Gary's rule. I went on my iPhone and I accessed the Baseball Reference, and they do have an entry for Willie, 1948, age 17, team BBB, Birmingham Black Barons, League, NAL, Negro American League. The interesting thing is, for a million years, I knew that Willie's final career average was 302. But when they added in his 1948 Birmingham Black Barons, he dropped to 301, but he was 17, and the stat line, he played 13 games, 48 plate appearances, 43 at bats, 6 runs, 10 hits, 2 doubles, a triple, 6 RBIs, and 1 stolen base and 4 bases on balls. 17 years old. And you're absolutely right. Everything I read is the Negro Leagues were equal, if not surpassing, of the major leagues.
Absolutely. And there's so many teams in the major leagues who were awful. So many players who were just ordinary players. The Negro League players were good. They were good. Oscar Charleston was Willie Mays before Willie Mays. And people say that now the numbers are there to back it up. And that's the nice part of it.
And bringing it up to today's Giants, I'd like you to speak a little more about Snell.
Yeah.
I don't know. You talk. I mean, my impression of him is I'm hopeful, but
Yeah,
I'm
you know what he is? He's 6 innings. You're getting
Yeah.
6 innings. You're going to be all over the place. We know it. Melvin knows it. Get ready. That's generally what's going to happen with him. He can be better. He's a little older now. Maybe he'll, get his control down a little bit more. But the arm is there. And not having spring training for him, I think, was a real problem. Then he had the adductor injury, and it slowed him down. 2 rehab starts. The arm is there. They need him. He's going to be fine. I think he's going to be a difference maker. I like him a lot. But 6 innings. And if he can leave with a lead in the 6 innings, here comes the parade. And they can close, and they get a lead at the end, they can shut it down. They can. As Eric Miller has been fine. He's been okay. The other Rogers, the lefty Rogers, gets his job done. The Submariner gets it done. Randy Rodriguez is coming in now. Walker's almost impossible to hit. So Snell is perfect for the Giants because they got guys behind him. So I would not worry about him. I think he's going to be fine. I really do. I really do. He's kind of a goofball. They call him Snellzella or something like that. He's kind of a goofy guy. He is. He's just a goofy guy, and he doesn't throw a lot of strikes.
Yeah.
Ball be all over the place, but the arm is there. It's good. He can shut you down for 5 or 6 innings. It may make you uncomfortable, but he's going to get out of there, and he ain't getting bombed. It's not happening.
Thanks, Marty.
Yeah,
Marty, I think we would pay right now to have him pitch 6 innings. He's going like 3 every time.
I know. It'll get better.
So.
Yeah.
Mars, you're up.
Marty, thank you for joining us. It's very informative. There's so many issues I have here. First question is, are you related to the Lurie family that own the Giants?
As I get asked that a lot, and my answer is we're 3 billion apart. So that's it. No, but the best news is that Daniel Lurie is running for mayor of San Francisco. And,
I know.
And they have these signs up and all. And when I was up there a couple of weeks ago, in storefronts and houses, Lurie for mayor. So he called me. So he calls me up, and we're going to get together when I go up there June 3rd, that morning, Gary, when I'm going to see you that night. And I'm going to see him. I said, look, I'll meet you, but I want signs. So he's bringing me a few signs. I'm going to come back to Mesa and put one on my lawn. Lurie for mayor. Why not?
Marty, where are you from originally?
224 East 37th Street, Brooklyn, New York.
So you saw the Giants and Dodgers play in New York?
Yes, I saw Carl Erskine hit the Giants. But living in Brooklyn, we would never go to the Polo Grounds or Yankee Stadium. As I said to you guys before, it'd be like going to Wisconsin. In Brooklyn, you stayed in Brooklyn.
Well, our family lived in Inwood Hill Terrace on 217th Street. So we could walk or take actually 2 trains to the Polo Grounds if we wanted to do that. And of course, I was 10 when they left, so I saw Willie play in the Polo Grounds, and we went to the last Giant Dodger game on my 10th birthday, September 8th, 1957, where Gilliam hit a 2-run homer with Drysdale on base, and then Hank Sauer hit a 3-run homer in the fourth, and the lead held up. Kurt Barkley against Don Drysdale. So that was the last Giant Dodger game played in the Polo Grounds. What I wanted to ask you is, I'm a big proponent of starting pitching, and I think that, like, just like a gym workout where you start lifting weights and you start at 50 pounds and a couple of weeks later you get to 12 reps. And Nolan Ryan was a big proponent of that when he was GM of the Texas Rangers. I think that the bullpen game is actually ruining it. And when they bring in the Rogers guys who you spoke positively about, they may not have a great ERA. That's because they give up the runs with runners on base. And it kills the game for me to not see a complete game. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, you like to see a game, a starting pitcher go 7, 8, or 9 innings. We all grew up with that. The bullpen opener is the problem. See that you're taking one of your best relievers and putting him in the first inning. You may need him in the 7th inning, and that's a real problem. And we see it come up all the time. They use Miller today in the first inning, first and second inning. Well, that was the end of him. And then they had the other Rogers come in early. They had no lefties anymore. Now, if you're playing a team other than the Pirates, you could be in trouble that way. So it does hamstring the manager the way he wants to manage the game. Look, you got to get 1,450 innings right out of the pitching, 9 times 162, and you'd like to have 900 of it out of your starting pitching. Well, those days are over. They just don't train pitchers that way. And what we've got to deal with now is a pitching staff of 13 or 14, and before it's all over, 18 or 20. And that's the depth you need. When we grew up, you saw your 4 starters, and that's what you got. And it was just, they were trained that way. These guys are not trained that way. But the bullpens can be burnt out. And especially a team like the Giants that play a lot of tight games, they're always into those same guys in the bullpen. So you're going to have to get more innings. Now, the Giants, it's a problem because Hicks, he said he didn't feel good on Sunday, but Hicks is not throwing 98 anymore, 99. Hicks is throwing 91, 92. So they've slowed him down because they want to get innings out of him. He's never pitched more than 65 innings in his life, and he's at 40-something now.
Wow.
So he's got to come out. They're not pushing Hicks to 6 or 7 innings. It's not going to happen unless his pitch count is really down. Harrison's the other one. He's 22. They're not going to let him pitch 160 innings. So you got to dial him back after 5 innings. So now you got Snell, who is going 5 or 6 innings. So you got those 3. Now your 5th starter is where you need help because you can't get that guy knocked out in the 4th inning because now you're in the bullpen again. And Webb has not been great, but he gives you the game. Webb is like the old guys. He may not have it, but he ain't giving you the ball back until he's gone 7 innings. That's just the way he is. They need a little bit more than that because the bullpen is going to be an issue when we get into August. That's why I say I was hoping Cobb would be back, to give you another starter. But they're going to need something. Keaton Wynn, I don't know when he's coming back. They're going to need another starting pitcher because your question is a good one. And that is bullpens get worn out. And especially this team, because they are holding back some of their players. It's cool now. But as we get into August, you're going to see it's going to be an issue.
And that brings me to my last question about Camilo Doval. So
Yeah.
all these guys in the bullpen are warming up, so they're throwing hard. They're and exactly what you were saying. Even in the bullpen, if they don't come into pitch, they're wearing themselves out by the time they get to August. Now you got Doval, and when Melvin brings him in with runners on base, that should be a no-no because the guy can't control the plate. So This guy has, with a ERA of probably over 3.5, which is horrible for a stopper. What do you think about, changing the stopper role?
No, no, he's
No.
he's he's terrific. Yeah, the arm is spectacular. Nothing bothers him. Yeah, he's a little pitch clock. What pitch clock? Is there a pitch clock? I didn't see any pitch clock. I don't see any stinking badges here. No, he just takes the ball and he throws it. Nothing bothers him. They have his entrance. Gary, you may see this when you're out there on Saturday night or Friday night for the night game. They shut the lights off when he comes in, and it's a big deal. It's exciting. He's good. He is. He's
But
got
what do you
his.
think about
He's got
what
his
do you think
issues.
about bringing him in with runners on base?
Well, you're talking about a 4-out save or a 5-out save, something like that. You can't do that.
No.
You can't do it too often. You can do it, but it's eventually going to get you if you do it too often. Look, Josh Hader refused to do it. Remember with Houston, he said, or with San Diego, he said, I'm not coming in the 8th inning. Sorry. And Melvin had that problem with him there. Duvall is cool. Nothing bothers him. And I think he's fine. I think he's fine. But I would not do the 4. I do it occasionally if you really needed the game. And he had a lot of rest, and you had Webb going the next day, so you may not need him the next day. But I'd be very careful with it.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Mark.
Marty.
By the way, Mars, just my opinion on that. He may not be the best closer in baseball, but he's better than most closers on other teams.
He's
Yeah.
good.
I don't
The
think
guy
you can
throws
argue with
100. The guy throws 102.
Yeah.
And nothing bothers him. Nothing.
He should be our worst problem,
Yeah, no, he's going to be an all-star. Who's the all-star? Lamont Wade is the only all-star, and this guy and Duvall's going to be with him.
Steve, you are up.
All right, thank you. So Marty, I'm another West Coast guy. I live in Alameda, and I've got a couple of things. First, I've always been intrigued by Willie talking about his mentors with the Black Barons, Piper Davis, and then his dad, Cat Mays. Can you talk about a little bit about how Willie was willing to learn the game and he listened to people?
Sure. He had tremendous respect for his elders, and he's still a very respectful man, very respectful. And he's very honest, and he understands people. He's good with people. I think Bill Greason, who is older than him, the pitcher, was a huge part for him. Piper Davis. His dad was playing the outfield. Willie essentially replaced his dad, when he came up to some degree. I don't know how true all those stories are, but he was a respectful kid. His mother and father separated. His mother ran a tight ship. His aunts were tight. When he got his bonus from the Giants, he turned the money over to his aunts. He's a very respectful man, and you could tell that his upbringing was absolutely correct. He was a kid who loved his family and loved baseball, and he wasn't going to do anything to get in the way. And that's how I see him today as a man today. When he says something to me, it's from his heart. He doesn't say stuff just to make you feel better. I've done so many shows with him, and he would say, I've said this to you guys before, he'd say, "Hey, you're a lawyer. Can't you ask better questions than that?" And I'd say, "Come on, you had that catch. Everyone knew you were going to catch it. Monty Irvin knew you had it. The whole world knew you had it. And you've been talking for 60 years like it was a big catch." And I say that to him. And, when you look at Willie's statistics on getting knocked down, yeah, he got knocked down a lot. He knew it. It was part of the game. It was part of the way he grew up, the way he was taught to play baseball. That's part of your question. That's the way he was taught to play baseball. You get knocked down, you get up. And he was up like 14,000 times. I forget him. Someone's got Baseball Reference here. Look it up. And I think he was hit 50 times. Come on, and 14,000 at bats with Drysdale throwing at him every single time. and he got out of the way. And he learned that as a kid. That's the way he learned baseball.
Great, great answer. You mentioned Reverend Bill Greason. How's he doing? He's like 99 years old right now. Is he going to be at the game?
Yeah, I think I should see him. I think so.
Good.
And I think I met when they had a day at the park for the Black Barons. I think I met Artie Wilson.
Oh, wow.
I think he's probably gone by now, but Artie Wilson was terrific. I think I have an interview with him. Bill Greason, I don't know if I met him or not, but I'm hoping to see him when I go to Rickwood.
He's really a compelling story.
Amazing.
Go ahead.
No, it's an amazing. So John Shea, you've had John on. John's done great work preparing the whole Bay Area for this Rickwood event.
Mm-hmm. Great. And then now the current Giants, you were talking about the Rogers brothers. The one thing that intrigues me about Tyler, he'll go through a period of time where he'll get in a jam and nobody hit the ball 60 feet.
I know.
Nobody's making good contact, and all of a sudden there's 2 men on a run in and nobody out because his pitches are so nasty. They're getting the bat on the ball, but the infielders can't make a play.
Yeah, well, the second baseman's got to play on the grass, the infield grass, because the ball's coming to second. Everyone just dribbles the ball there. And the other one is the Chapman, and he's so good that he can make the play. And he saved Rogers a lot. Rogers isn't exactly as awesome as he's been, but he's terrific. He's fun.
Right.
He gets it. He gets it. When he comes in, it's going to get done. He'll give up the long ball every once in a while, but he's okay.
Right. Yeah, I enjoy watching him, but it's just
dribblers.
Those innings where 3 guys hit dribblers that are like swinging bunts.
Yeah, it's the one guy who hits it out on him that worries me sometimes. He has given up a couple.
Yeah.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
Glad you joined us again, Mr. Burbridge.
Marty, that was an unbelievable synopsis of the current state of the Giants. Let me ask you, I have 2 questions. You mentioned about Miller being needed late in the game. Why didn't they start Mason Black today? It seemed like illogical not to start Black, who was a starting pitcher, and use Miller. There weren't any lefties in that opening lineup for the Pirates. And the second question is, the one player you didn't mention was Yaz. Does he have any ability? Can we market him? Those are my 2 questions, Marty. Thanks.
All right. I think the lefty, I could be wrong, but you turn Reynolds around. He becomes
turn Reynolds around.
And then Cruz is a lefty. So you want the lefty to face Cruz.
Okay.
I think for that reason, it's like putting the lefty in against Ohtani and Freeman, and if you do it against the Dodgers, you want to get a couple of the big hitters out. So for Miller, he at least went an inning and 2/3. So when Mason Black was handed the ball, he was at the end of the order. So you're giving him a little advantage. So that was that. Yastrzemski is the pop-up king. You talk about the Willie Mays pop-up exhibit. This guy should be on the cover of that one. He hits more pop-ups than anyone I've ever seen in my life. He's a streaky hitter. And he's a damn good right fielder in that ballpark. He knows how to play the wall. He can cut the ball off. It's a big deal to hold people to a single in that ballpark, and he can do it. The bat he's got power. He's got some power. But boy, 4 strikeouts in a game, 3 strikeouts in a game. And then when he does make contact, he pops up constantly. So it's an issue. Maybe Ramos becomes that part of right field. Maybe Conforto comes back to left and Ramos goes over to right. Maybe that'll happen.
That's what I would think is going to happen.
Maybe that's Matos' spot next year when Lee comes back.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Marty.
Thank you, John. Okay. And Marty referenced John Shea. John had a series out called The Road to Rickwood for anybody out there in San Francisco or who can get his paper online. Mr. O'Doul, you're up.
Hello. Question about the Negro Leagues records being included in the national with all of baseball. Because O'Doul has the fourth highest lifetime batting average. We're always proud of that 349. I understand, correct me if I'm wrong, there's two players from the Negro Leagues that have a better, higher lifetime batting average. Is that correct?
I don't know. You'd have to, see who's going to be included in that. But the point is, you know, they won't have as many at bats, and you don't have as many records and box scores as you had for Lefty O'Doul, because record keeping was a lot tighter in the major leagues than it was in the Negro Leagues. But they've done a great job to come up with all this information. I think the most important part of the whole discussion is the fact that these people existed, and maybe Oscar Charleston hit 362. It doesn't matter. Did he really hit 362 for, 2,000 games? Maybe not. But now I know Oscar Charleston was a hell of a hitter. If for his career, they've documented that he hit 362. And that's the important part. It gives life to people who were just anecdotal. Now it gives a number that we can match up, because baseball is all numbers. And so I think that's where it becomes important. Not that Lefty had his 5 years at a 349, and Oscar Charleston maybe had a third or half the at-bats that Lefty did. It's who he is and what he accomplished. Now we know it in black and white.
Thank you, Marty.
Thank you.
See you
Welcome
soon.
back. Welcome back, the great Ken Davidoff.
All right, Ken, how are you?
Nice to see you, Ken. Ken, you're muted. There you go.
Hey, Marty, how are you?
Ken, it's great to see you. Absolutely.
Great to see you too. So I'm curious about Farhan. How would you evaluate his performance, and what would you say about his job security or lack thereof?
Well, I think that the man who makes the decisions likes him a lot. And Melvin, of course, got a 3-year deal, and that extended Farhan a 3-year deal too, because Melvin wasn't going to come here with a general manager president who only had a year left. It's not Brian Sabian, and that's the best way we can explain it. Brian had a way of relating to the fans, the players, the manager, and just to the game of baseball. Farhan is totally analytical, and that's the way he relates to the game, and that's the way he answers questions. He churns the roster constantly. Now he's doing it maybe 24, 25, 26, as opposed to in the middle of the roster. I think he was given a mandate over the winter to get some players, and he went out and got 7 or 8 new major league players. I mean, I think he did a great job. He didn't get the big ticket. He didn't get Yamamoto. He didn't get Ohtani, but he went out and got serviceable players. And this Jung-Hoo Lee is a lot of fun to watch him, and I think he'll be a good player in his age. So I think he did a decent job over the winter. I really do. And I think that if he would just let Melvin manage and not go in there, they got Soler leading off. They have a different crazy lineup every day. That can't be Bob Melvin, because Bob Melvin sticks with his guys. Bob Melvin's like an old-time manager. He takes his 9 guys and he basically plays them. Well, they got everything jumbled up, and he's got people all over the place. And that's the fingerprints usually of Farhan. So I think they're going to be in the playoffs. I think they have enough pitching to do it. I think the league is mediocre. And when you look at the 7 or 8 teams that are going to fight for those last 2 spots, the Giants are as good as anybody. And I think they're going to make it. And I say he's got his job security is good for this year, because I think they're going to be okay. If they somehow went off the rails and ended up, 72 and 90, and it really fell apart, it would be trouble. But the crowds are coming back. They're getting 35,000 just about every game, 32,000. The Yankee series is going to be huge. The Phillies are going to draw. So to answer your question, Ken, I think he's weathered the storm, and Greg Johnson likes him. Those are 2 good things.
Thanks, Marty. Always good to see you. And whenever
How
I
are
see
you? Tell me what's new with you.
Oh, I'm just enjoying life, Marty. I'm teaching at a college, doing some freelance writing here and there, and just everyone tells me I look more relaxed. So I think
Yeah,
that's
you
what
look younger. Very good.
I'm
I'm
Good to
glad
see
to
you,
see you. Yeah, pleasure.
Ken, great seeing you. Paul, you are up. Paul, unmute, Paul.
Oh, sorry, Marty. Thank you so much. It's great to hear, as it's already been said, your analysis, Giants. I think you're pretty well, on target with what everybody's saying. This is a related question. I keep seeing in the news, more discussion of Otani's perhaps, this gambling thing. I wondered if you'd pick up on anything. Is he more involved? Was he just a patsy for this guy, or did he have more to do with than he's saying? What are you seeing in this?
Well, you got to remember, I spent 25 years as a criminal trial defense lawyer.
Yeah.
So
Ah,
I'm a little more skeptical than most people. It's kind of, I look for circumstantial evidence and all sorts of ancillary things. I mean, if this is your best friend and he bet $65 million, I mean, and you spent 24/7 with the guy, how do you not know? Come on, what's going on? I don't know. Otani is baseball, and to tarnish Otani would tarnish baseball. So they got Ippy to take the rap, and they said, fine, we don't have to do any more investigating. He did it. He took the money. He's going to go to jail. See, Otani's innocent. Who's up next? And that's what baseball did. So I would find it hard to believe that Otani didn't know what's going on, but baseball is so important. He's so important to the game that once Ippy took the rap, this show was over.
do you think Otani actually bet on baseball games himself?
No,
What do you think? No,
I don't think so. He seems like
yeah.
he
Okay.
just doesn't seem to be nervous, And Pete Rose wasn't Pete Rose a little nervous looking?
Oh yeah.
Right?
Guilty.
Pete Rose, the way he looked and stuff. Otani just is as happy as can be. He's having a ball. I think he's extremely naive and probably knew more than we're be allowed to know. But no, I don't think he said, "Hey, I'm going to put $1 million down on the Dodgers today." And I don't think it. I just don't see it happening. I just
Okay.
don't.
Thank you, Marty.
Marty,
Yeah.
how are you for time?
I'm okay.
Okay, we got like 3 or 4 more. Is that okay?
Yeah, it's 5 o'clock here.
Wonderful. Mr. Bill, you are up.
Yeah, hey Marty, it's I'm like Gary. I'm one of those San Francisco Giant fans living in New York, the 3,000 miles away. And as Norm said, I love to hear your voice on the weekends and stuff. Who do we have to talk to at KNBR to get your time back? Weren't you on like 2 or 3 hours? Now you only seem to be on like an hour or so. Did they
Well,
cut
I'm
time on your
yeah.
show?
Well, what happened was over the winter, they wanted to integrate a couple of the younger players at KNBR into the mix. So my show normally would be 3 hours.
Right. Yeah.
1 o'clock start. I would be on 9 until 12:45 because I would do the talk back with John. I do the diamond notes and all that. So they decided arbitrarily, which is fine for me. It really is, to say, okay, you can do 9 to 11. Then we're going to bring in one of our other people to do 11 until 12:30. And that's the way we'll get more calls, we'll get texts, we'll do all those things. And I wasn't doing a lot of that stuff. And they were very concerned that they wanted to go a little younger. So that was it.
That's what I
It's my
figured.
feeling. I mean, I'm fine with it. It's so easy to do the show now. I mean, I mean, it's all set. I mean, I'm going to do 3 shows this weekend, and essentially they're pretty well put together. So it's fine. At this stage of my life, it was a lot of work to
I
do
bet.
3 3/4 hours Saturday and Sunday. And don't forget, for 10 years before that, I did the post game too.
Yeah.
For an extra 4 or 5 hours. Those are 16-hour days. So the program director resigned today from KNBR, which I just saw in the news, Adam Copeland. So
Wow.
who knows what's going on?
They have a lot of turnover there. Wow. It's like, yeah.
Yeah, they did. But I do my show. Everyone like yourself has been very supportive, and I'm just glad to do it. It's fun.
You're great. But just also, that was a great point about I think the bullpen is taxed already. and now they got to go play the Mets and everything. Nobody's really giving. And even why did they take Webb out after 6 innings? They didn't give him that 7th inning. Maybe they would have won that game.
Well, they're holding him at 100.
Oh, so he's got a pitch count too. All right.
Yeah, he's
What
at
about
100.
what about that Landon Root? What happened to him? I saw him in spring training
Yeah, another
when I
pitch.
went, and
Okay.
he was up a little while. Now he's back down.
Yeah, he had the curveball, but all of a sudden the big leaguers realized that's his pitch. So
Oh,
they were
so
sitting on the curveball, and he needs something else.
Okay.
So they're going to stretch him out at Sacramento.
Okay. But anyway, thank you.
The lefty Weisenhunt is the guy. He strikes a lot of people out. He's getting hit a little bit, but I think he may have a shot to come up.
So he could be the next one, maybe.
Could be Carson Weisenhunt. You could see him.
Okay. But anyway, thank you. This was terrific.
Yeah. My feeling is we're in it's only May. Come on. I feel like we've done a whole season already. Only May. And we've gone up and down and up and down. The Dodgers are coming back to the pack a little bit. Let's see what their pitching looks like in 2 months. The Padres win and lose. Arizona can't get out of their own way. But they just took 2 or 3 from the Dodgers. Colorado won 7 in a row. I mean, I go through the whole league. The Cardinals are starting to win now. The Cubs don't hit much. The Brewers starting pitching. I don't know how they get away with it, but they're hitting, and Yelich is playing again. Cincy can't hit at all, but they have some decent starting pitching. I don't know where the Mets are. You guys got to tell me about the Mets right now. The new kid, he's going to pitch. Scott.
Yeah,
Is
he's
that
good. He's good.
It's good.
Yeah,
I guess Manaea pitching this week?
Sunday,
Manaea pitching.
Saturday, and Scott on Friday.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll take him. Thanks, Bill. Neil, you are up.
Thanks, Gary, and thank you, Marty. It's great hearing your insights to
A long way to go. A long way to go.
Which I appreciate. I just wanted to mention, I grew up on East 23rd Street in Brooklyn, and my dad took us to the Polo Grounds, but my brother and I went to the Dodger games all the time at Ebbets Field, and of course we did not wear Giant hats. But the Ebbets Field was much more fun than going to the Polo Grounds. They had that crazy band in the stands. They had Happy Felton with the kids. The Dodgers seemed to be much more entertainment than the Giants ever got to when they were in New York.
Brooklyn, come on, man. We had our own. We're our own state.
Absolutely.
Brooklyn. You were from Brooklyn. You were proud to say you're from Brooklyn.
Absolutely, the cultural
Even
center
today,
of the world.
I still say it today.
Thanks again.
Neil, thank you. Charles, you're up. Unmute, Charles.
Sorry about that. 2 things. One is I want to say, Marty, I missed you at the public house. I know they renamed it. It's still the public house to me.
Yeah,
and the second thing is, what happened to what are they doing with the plaques they used to have on the cove? The McCovey Cove, and they had the statue, and they had all the fans' plaques, and I got a plaque out there. What are they doing with that?
Well, it was a big deal because they moved them and they were going to make them digital. So people got very, very upset about that. And I don't blame them. They are going to create another area where they're going to have the actual physical plaques.
Okay. I'm glad to hear that because I was not happy with their,
Not a good move. It was not a good PR move to do that.
I don't know why they needed to change it in the first place. It'd been like that since the park opened.
Yeah, they made a nice park out there, and it was sort of desolate and Willie. Come on, they had Willie McCovey at the point with seagulls out there with nothing. So now they got a nice park around them, and I don't know.
I thought they had like a little league park down near there too.
Is that that may be near there, or maybe part of the ballpark itself? They got something.
Okay.
I haven't been out there.
Charles,
anyway, I miss you at the public house.
Charles, you're talking about the bricks, right?
Yeah.
Bricks, okay. Did anybody need to raise their hand who do not know how to navigate the hand up? Anybody else with any questions? Christina, you're up.
Hi. Hi, Marty. It's Christina. How are you?
Fine, how are you?
I'm good. Just wanted to comment on the tiles. Really upset about that. We got a letter, an email saying they took them out. They were going to move them, do something else, and they all got destroyed, which I don't know. I didn't believe it. I was really upset because, you know, I had one for my dad and my husband had one for his dad. And they had, you know, my dad played and he was in World War II and my father-in-law was in the Korean War. And a lot of people would go out there all the time and sit there. It was a beautiful spot.
Yep.
I mean, what they built now is beautiful, but it was fine before. And, you know, they built more stuff out there, but they have a park and they didn't use the space for anything that it wasn't already for, just to sit out there. And they just destroyed these. We paid a lot of money for them and they meant something. And so I was really upset. I didn't believe what Larry Bear said, that they got destroyed, and because whatever they're going to do isn't going to be what we paid money for. And I just think it was a bad move. I think it was disrespectful. And, you know, the Willie McCovey statue was beautiful and it was in storage for like a couple years, which was a shame. Shouldn't have been in storage. And so I don't know. I hope they make up for it somehow. I just don't see them doing it because I don't see how they could. So that's just my 2 cents about it.
No, you're right. Yeah, everything you say is exactly right. It wasn't not well thought out, and they're going to do everything they can to try to make it right. But your voice is heard, believe me. They heard your voice.
Well, we love listening to you, Marty, all the time. Can't wait for this weekend to hear you 3 times. And
come on, I got a big weekend here.
I know we missed the hour before the game, though. I wish they would have done the hour of KNBR before you, because I like listening to you going into the pregame, you know, instead of the other way around. But as long as we get to hear you, it's good. So
come on, 2 hours. You'll be sick of me after 2 hours.
Oh, I don't think so. I used to love listening to you during the World Series years, and you'd go on all weekend long. Midnight, you were still on, Marty. We'll go right into the replay of the game.
No, when I'm up there, I'm going up next Thursday. I'm going to pull out my 2012 ring. I want to wear the 2012 ring. I've been wearing the 2010 ring for a couple of years.
Well, we appreciate all you do. We know it's a lot of work and we know it takes a lot of your time, but we sure love it. So anytime you give us, we love it and appreciate it. So
I love you for it. So that's a two-way street, believe me.
So as long as you keep doing it, we're good. So
hey.
Marty, I'm going to close it out with just a quick thought or your feelings about this. You know, I've gone down to Philadelphia a few times, and they have a Hall of Fame wall, you know, and it's a franchise wall. And you know, during my presentation, one of the last things I'm going to say is, why can't the Giants extend that wall? You know, you have all the Wall of Famers from the San Francisco era. And, you know, I know they're major leaguers, but, you know, Johnny LeMaster, Marvin Bernard are on that wall. Why can't they make it a franchise wall and include the great New York Giants who have been retired? You know, I was a school teacher, and the best way to educate people in the past is for them to be able to read something. Carl Hubble stuff, you know, the retired numbers. You can go in the stadium and say, hey, who's that? Oh, it's Carl Hubble. You don't know anything about him. But if they have these plaques outside, much like, you know, the Phillies have the A's in there, and they have the whole franchise. And what am I crazy, or what do you think?
No, I know you're right. In fact, I've been, you know, my first job, so to speak, you know, I did the pregame for the A's for 98 to 09. And I went to Philadelphia, to the Philadelphia A's Historical Society in Hatboro. And I was there when the A's first played the Phillies in interleague play. And Gus Zernial was there and all these players. And I learned about the Wall of Fame and how they do it. And I got to see what they do. And it's terrific the way they've integrated the early parts of their franchise with what's happening now. I think it's really well done. I think the Giants should do it. And, you know, they have so much more room now, but with all their real estate and all these things, I always thought they were going to have a bigger museum or something, which they really haven't done yet. And this little pop-up exhibit, you'll see, they need more of things like that. But yes, I think they should do that. You know, it's funny today, there was a pop-up and I forget, I think it was somebody, it was Joey Bart, stepped on his mask, right? But he caught the ball anyway. And it reminded me of 1924, Hank Gowdy, you know, stepped on the mask and he missed the ball. And then Muddy Rule got the double. And then they hit the ball over Lindstrom's head and it cost the Giants the World Series against Washington. So those kind of stories are fun. And I wish that more people knew them connected with the San Francisco Giants. And it's people like myself, I must say it, you know, I respect it, and Willie Mays respects it, but there aren't many like us around. So it's important to keep doing it and keep those stories going. And that's a good way to do it, is to recognize the great Hall of Famers or the great players. Why not? You got all the room in the world to do it. And it's colorful baseball. It's part of baseball. It's why we love baseball. It's generational. It connects us to good times, to things that we like. So when I saw the pop-up and the guy stepped on the mask, how many people today thought of Hank Gowdy? Come on. That was it. You, Charles, that was it. Okay.
Yeah.
Marty, before we go, Harvey made a great comment at the beginning about fill-in. Harvey, can you repeat what you said?
Gary, remind me. I
think you said Marty is no fill-in, no pinch hitter.
Oh, yeah, Marty, you're not a fill-in. You're not a pinch hitter. You're on the A team. You're on a starting lineup.
Come on, I'm Gail Harris.
No.
Bob Lennon. That's all. I'm Bob Lennon.
Let's all give it up for Marty Lurie. Marty, we can't thank you enough.
Yay, thank you, Marty.
Marty, really so kind of you, and you add so much, and you don't know how much we appreciate you here. And please don't be a stranger.
It's all baseball. It's passion. It comes from my heart, and it's just opinions, and that's what baseball is all about. It's good. So, Gary, I look forward to seeing you. Send me an email with your itinerary, your agenda again, so I know what I'm doing when I see you.
Gotcha. And I will get in touch with Art Black for you. Okay.
Yeah. I'd like to know more about Rickwood before I go.
Absolutely. All right, guys, we will see each other on June 6th. Like I said, I don't have a nice holiday weekend. And remember, if you had anybody you lost, I'm very sorry.
All right.
Remember all the people who are here, okay? Be well, guys. Good night.